A student gets locked in a classroom overnight, but the room isn't empty. The screen fades to black, the sound of a clock ticking steadily, the silence becoming unnerving. It was just supposed to be a normal Thursday night, staying late at school to finish a project. But sometimes, normal nights aren't really normal at all. Sometimes the things you think are safe are the things that trap you. Cut to a dimly lit classroom, dust floating in the air, the sound of footsteps slowly echoing in the empty hallways. I thought I was alone. I thought I was just tired, just finishing up my work. But something was waiting for me in that room, something that wasn't just locked in the room, but in my mind. A clock strikes midnight in the background, the silence growing intense. It was one of those days that felt endless, like I was stuck in a loop. You know the type, the days where nothing exciting happens, but the minutes drag on like hours. I had stayed late in the classroom, working on an essay I'd procrastinated on for too long. Typical me, always pushing things to the last minute. My mind was foggy, the words on the paper blurring together. I thought I heard the last bell ring, but when I checked the time, it was past 7 p.m. I glanced at the window and the sky was dark, the streetlights casting long shadows across the school courtyard. I wasn't sure if I should be scared of how late it had gotten or relieved that I was almost done. After a few more minutes of writing, I packed up my things and headed to the door. But when I tried to turn the handle, nothing happened. It was stuck. I pulled harder, twisting it again, but it wouldn't budge. I laughed nervously at first, thinking it was a simple mistake. Maybe the janitor had locked it from the outside by accident. But when I knocked and shouted for help, there was no answer. I checked my phone. No signal. No one else was in the building. My thoughts started racing. What if something happened to the janitor? What if they were stuck somewhere too? What if no one even knew I was here? I tried to stay calm, but a creeping sense of panic began to rise. The walls felt closer now. The room felt smaller, like it was closing in on me. I sat back down at one of the desks, trying to distract myself by checking my phone again. No signal. Suddenly, the air felt colder. I wrapped my arms around myself, shivering. I looked around the room, hoping to catch a glimpse of someone, anyone, outside the window. But the school was empty. Dead quiet. No lights in the hallway, no cars in the parking lot. The only sound now was the slow, rhythmic ticking of the clock on the wall. That's when I heard it. The faintest sound. A scratch. I froze. It came from the far corner of the room, just beyond the pile of textbooks. I told myself it was nothing. The house settling, the pipes creaking, a rat in the walls. I tried to ignore it, but the scratching got louder, sharper. Then came the whisper. "You're not alone." I stood up, suddenly aware of the oppressive silence around me. My heartbeat seemed unnaturally loud in my ears, a cold sweat forming on my forehead. The whisper came again, softer this time, as if it was coming from inside my head. I couldn't tell if it was real or just my mind playing tricks. I rushed to the door again, yanking at the handle in a desperate attempt to escape, but it wouldn't open. The lock was stuck, and no amount of force could break it. I slid down the door, sitting on the cold floor, trying to breathe. I told myself, "It's okay. You're overreacting. Just breathe." But even as I tried to calm myself, a creeping thought began to nag at the back of my mind. What if I'm not overreacting? Time stretched out, moments feeling like hours. I could no longer tell what was real and what wasn't. The room was shifting, warping, the walls were bleeding shadows, and the air was thick with a heavy, damp scent. I looked at the clock. It was 3 a.m. How could time be moving so slowly? How had I been stuck in here for so long? My thoughts felt disjointed. I was starting to think that maybe I was losing my mind. Maybe this was all just a hallucination, a panic attack. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. This thing, this presence, was real, and it was toying with me. I thought about my life, my parents, my friends, The things I had left unfinished, the things I'd left unsaid. What if I never made it out? What if this was the last place I ever saw? The realization hit me hard. The thing in the corner wasn't just a monster. It was waiting for me to break, waiting for me to lose all hope, to give up. And that's when it hit me. The room itself was a trap. The darkness wasn't just in the corners. It was in my mind, too. This thing was feeding off my fear, my desperation. The more I struggled, the stronger it became. I had to stop fighting. I had to stop caring. When I closed my eyes, I could still hear it. The scratching, the whispers. But now I didn't run. I didn't try to escape, because I knew something I hadn't before. I was already gone, and so was the room. It wasn't just a locked space anymore. It was a prison of my own making, and no matter how much I tried to scream, the thing in the corner would never leave.